Our diplomatic efforts to end the Middle East conflict are entering a new phase after US-Iran talks in Switzerland laid out a roadmap towards a broader agreement. Both sides have welcomed progress, key issues still not resolved, including, as we mentioned earlier, Iran's nuclear program and oversight of the Strait of Hormuz. Analysts say any lasting solution will require cooperation far beyond just Washington and Tehran.
There's going to be a lot of negotiations. There are obviously a lot of stakeholders, not just the U.S. and Iran, but all of the states on the littoral, on the Persian Gulf waters, as well as all of the entire world economy that depends on this critical waterway and geopolitical choke point. I hope one of the lessons of this is that no state by itself can impose a settlement from the outside. The limits of U.S. power has been illustrated to the world these past few weeks and months, and I do hope that the Iranian government also understands that by itself, even though it may have had a strategic victory, by itself the Iranian government can't impose a settlement. So what we really need at this moment is multilateralism, where the different states, not only in the Persian Gulf, but the wider, let's call it Indian Ocean world, are participating in a way to transition into a orderly a system for shipping, for trade, and for a de-escalation of conflict that has only been increasing over the past 2-3 years, where conflict has become normalized, unfortunately.
Questions also raised about the balance post-war of power in the Gulf.
In terms of military power, no other country really has the capacity to do what the U.S. does. No external power, whether it's Russia, China, India, Europe, can even come close to approximating American power in the Gulf. That said, America's deterrence power has clearly been undermined. Iran has, through its aggression, really upended the way that the region has worked. So the assumptions of the U.S. as the unchallenged regional hegemon, that has changed. But that's not to say that Iran actually is anywhere near a pure competitor or power similar to the U.S. It's more willing to use the unconventional means at its disposal in a way to make it look more powerful than it really is. But the Iranian military power is really pretty insignificant relative to what the U.S. is capable of doing.
Well, there may be progress in diplomacy, but the economic fallout likely to linger. Analysts say the crisis has exposed the risks of relying on a single maritime choke point.
The biggest lesson is that war is never the answer. We should have spared this war. We should have gone to the negotiation table before the war, as was the case, because that's where we ended right now with the 60-day period that was unleashed in the past few days in Switzerland. And that's why we need to keep that in mind as we move forward. So that's first. Second, we always need to have a plan B. We need to have alternative routes in place. We need to have alternative fuel centers across to avoid what happened. Remember, the Strait of Hormuz closing has not only sent shockwaves across the Gulf states and Asia, but across the world. We're talking about the combination of the crises of 1973, 1979, and 2020 all together in 2026. You're looking at shortages in fertilizers, which impact food security. You're looking at shortages in jet fuel, which impacted transport and logistics. And we're even looking at things as simple as cooking oil, which has impacted a lot of communities in Asia and beyond.